When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The future of the prediction markets, I think, at least for now, may be in the hands of the federal courts. But the good news for those who support prediction markets is that these court battles may last for another 2 to 3 years before we get clarity around the law. And nominee Seelig was handpicked by Donald Trump, not because he was neutral on prediction markets, but because he would do nothing to slow it down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on Sports.
Oh, my goodness. New week, new money, as we like to say. New month, new money. Because why? We weren't here on Thursday. We weren't here on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We got 4 days to recap exactly what happened and how we can move that information into the future. Because if we're talking about, Joe, NCAA football, NFL football, NBA action, college basketball, my goodness, it really was feast week last week, and we got 2 hours to get it done. This is the early line. It's the SportsGrid Network. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. It's how we get down the business here. We have so much action-packed information to give out, Joe. I am rested, and I am ready. How about you?
I'm telling you, I think I need a vacation from the vacation, Donnie. There is a lot to uncover here that happened over the last week, and it's not going to get any less crazy moving forward till the end of the year. Welcome to December. Unreal.
State your claims in college football, because we're going to hit that pretty soon. A lot of stuff happened in the NFL over the weekend. Movers and shakers. It's time to get caffeinated. Here's Joe with the hottest topic of the day.
Well, Donnie, we need to, on this Monday, celebrate the greatest gift sports can give us. A pure, unadulterated villain. And that villain's name is Lane Kiffin, ladies and gentlemen. And he just pulled off the heist of the century. Because while everyone else was sweating out playoff scenarios in college football, Lane Kiffin turned the entire sport into his own personal reality show. Will he stay? Will he go? We're going to know Friday. We're going to know Saturday. We're going to know Sunday. He dragged it out. He played the media, and he drove Ole Miss fans and college football fans absolutely insane. And then the hammer drops. He's gone. Headed to LSU for a cool $13 million a year. But he didn't just leave, Donnie. Oh, no. That would be too boring. He left an 11-1 team that is virtually guaranteed a spot in the college football playoff. He walked away from a national title contender that he built, in fact. And the cherry on top, well, he tried to stay and coach them in the playoff while also being the head coach of their rival LSU. So when the athletic director said, I don't think so, well, he reportedly gave his offensive staff an ultimatum. Come with me to Baton Rouge now, or you don't have a job. So he basically gutted the staff on his way out the door. People are furious, Donnie. They're calling him a snake, a traitor, a mercenary. They say he should have done the right thing. Please, give me a break. Lane Kiffin isn't the problem. He's the product. He is exactly what the NCAA created. You want loyalty? Get a dog. Because in big-time college football, you get leverage. And Lane played this game better than anyone. He knew the rules, he knew the calendar, and he knew, more importantly, what his worth is. Anyone saying it shouldn't be about the money has never had any, and has certainly never been offered a $100 million contract. Lane Kiffin saw the bag, he saw the better job, and he took it, and he left a trail of chaos in his wake. And you know what? I love it. Sports are boring without villains. We need the guy in the black hat. We need the guy everyone loves to hate. And right now, Lane Kiffin is the biggest, baddest villain in the entire sports universe. So don't hate the player, or in this case, the coach. Hate the game. And hail to the king of chaos, Mr. Lane Kiffin, because college football, as crazy as it already is, just got a whole lot more interesting, Donnie.
Yep, and people are angry out there because you know why? He did make the right move. Going to LSU is an upgrade, and it's more money with a better chance of winning. But Donnie and Joe, they were going to make the college football playoff. You don't think Lane Kiffin knew that? If the money was equal and thought he had a better job, he'd be at Ole Miss right now coaching. They'd be loving life. But he understands as well as everybody else, LSU is a way better job than Mississippi is at this point. And also, a counterpoint for you, Joe, as well, just to add on to exactly what you're saying. Why don't they do this in the pros? Because they have contracts. Andy Reid can't say I'm 3 years. Well, you know what? I'm going to the Dolphins overnight because he has a contract. If you have the same contract stipulations in college football, almost goes like, we got the guy under contract for 4 more years. You want him? We want hundreds of millions of dollars in a transfer fee. Then maybe we'll think about it. Oh, yeah, we want your 2 top players in the transfer portal as well. But in college, you can leave at any time. But don't feel bad for the players. They get paid, and they can leave any time they want as well. Chaos in college. Joe summed it up perfectly there. We need villains. Lane Kiffin is the perfect villain. And by the way, one parting shot. Didn't you see this coming, Ole Miss? He did the same thing with Tennessee in the SEC a decade ago. You knew what was going to happen. And you know what, LSU? It just might happen to you as well if Alabama opens up in 2 or 3 years. Great stuff, Joe. Let's get to the early lineup, which is Lane Kiffin. He's on his way to LSU. This sends shockwaves through the community here, and I agree. Lane Kiffin should have went to LSU. We all knew he was going to LSU. I can't even believe he made it this far, even past the Egg Bowl, Joe.
I just love the fact that he also threw the athletic director on the bus on the way out, basically playing him, saying, hey, listen, I wanted to stay and coach, but nope, he wouldn't let me do it. The players wanted me to stay, so now I've got to basically dismantle the entire staff and take them with me. So have fun, Ole Miss. It is priceless, Donnie. This entire thing played out exactly the way Lane Kiffin wanted it to, and boy, what a wake of chaos he left behind.
Yeah, and exactly. If anybody out there is like, well, they should have just let him coach, you don't understand how the business world works. He's going to take all the computers, all the systems, all the players, all the coaches, and then when he's done, he's going to be gone at this point. The minute he says he's going to LSU, he's out the door, and that's what actually happened and took place. Let's get over to the NFL. Josh Allen, another rushing touchdown on the ground. It's what he does. 8 carries for 38 yards. They were dead in the water at the half, and all of a sudden, a second-half resurgence here. The Buffalo Bills beat up, physically bullied the Pittsburgh Steelers 26-7, and Josh Allen sets another record.
I mean, they won in the trenches like people don't often win in Pittsburgh. In fact, I think it was the most rushing yards in the history of, well, what was Heinz Field and now is Azure Stadium or whatever that is now. But it's the most yards on the ground, which means that defense got absolutely destroyed yesterday. You don't see that often.
No, you certainly don't. Denver Broncos, what do, Joe? They just win. It doesn't matter. They'll come back. They'll do it each and every time. And it took overtime last night. If you're a total backer, congratulations with that game, getting to extras there at 27-26 as a final with the Broncos won. So many chances the Broncos had to close the door on the Commanders, 3rd and 25s, 4th and longs, and every time the Commanders made the right plays here. But Washington got the cover. Denver got the win, and they're the hottest team in football.
Yeah, that vaunted defense. 2017 was the score, Donnie, with under a minute to go, and they could not get a stop on Marcus Mariota in this offense. They escaped with a win, but that was far from being impressive.
Shedeur Sanders in a 26-8 loss with the Cleveland Browns. He'll continue to be their starter, and I agree with that at this point, but understand this. His QBR rating yesterday, 16.1. Joe, 3 straight horrific QBRs and another loss for Shedeur, but he's fun to watch.
Well, it's fun to talk about, but not necessarily fun to watch. The big thing I wanted to see is this is the AFC North. And there were 20, 25, 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts in that game yesterday in Cleveland, Donnie. And I could not wait to see what that ball looked like coming out of his hand in those kinds of conditions. And guess what? Wasn't great, Donnie. What a shock.
By the way, they made so many mistakes, not just Shedeur Sanders, because he didn't even have a turnover in this game or have an interception. They were brutal. I mean, dropping punts on their own 10-yard line. They deserve to lose. That's what bad football teams do. Cooper Flagg, hello, 35 points. Youngest to score that in the NBA. How about that? Go, Cooper.
Kid he's really starting to come into his own. It was a slow start to the season, but just like that, he is back in the conversation for Rookie of the Year.
Trae Young out for a few weeks with a sprained MCL. It just isn't working in Atlanta at this point. But by the way, I think Atlanta just knocked off the Sixers last night in double overtime. Come on, Philly.
Yeah, I know, Philly. I mean, you got to be kidding me. Twice they should have had that game won. But hey, see you later, Trae. He will be wearing a different uniform before it's all said and done, Donnie.
Things I didn't know. The MLS is still playing soccer at this point. I thought that ended over the summer. But Messi is going to take on Vancouver.
Yeah, as well he should here, Donnie. I mean, Miami FC, they ain't going to win the game by themselves, I'll tell you that.
Hey, you going to drive to that game down from Florida up to Vancouver? Seems like a long trip, people. You got a long trip with us this morning. Make sure you keep it right here. We'll be right back.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said
earlier.
He got hit
behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Get ready for some football this week, and some meaningful football it is. Championship week here, and this is how we get down on the early line on a Monday morning edition to take a look at some of these spread lines, the top games that you need to know about, which includes December the 5th, which is Friday night, 7 o'clock. It's Troy and JMU. Championship on the line, but you wouldn't know it by this spread, Joe. Opened up at 20.5, and the people said, ha! It's now 21.5 and 22.5, and a total of 47.5. Tell the people, Joe, Troy at JMU, what the stakes are and what your spread line is.
Well, we got another one of these situations where we're not quite sure what's going to be happening with the James Madison head coach, Bob Chesney, though we'll likely know before this game takes place. But like we've seen with other schools, Donnie, like North Texas, Coach Morris was announced as the Oklahoma State new head coach. But you know what Oklahoma State said? Good, finish it out. Good, finish it out with North Texas. Likely going to happen here with JMU. So the distractions are going to be there. Obviously, look at the spread, Donnie. 21 points here. And the Dukes, listen, they're a top 35 offense in just about every statistical category. They're a top 15 defense in per play basis. So this is a legit team that is looking to run the table with one loss and have an opportunity for the committee to go, you know what? As much as the American Athletic Conference was nice, James Madison, you beat Troy and you blow them out, they could very well be that group of 5 team that's represented in the college football playoff.
Let's go another Friday night football game here. North Texas taking on Tulane. This line opened up at 2.5. Still sits at 2.5, but points are expected in this game, Joe. 66.5, now up to 67.5. North Texas, Tulane. What about these coaches, Joe? And what's your spread line here?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's face it, right? I told you about Coach Eric Morris heading to Oklahoma State, but he's coaching in this game. Oh, yeah, by the way, the team he's Tulane, their head coach, John Summerall, well, he's heading to Florida. But guess what? Both coaches have agreed with their new programs to stay through the conference title game, and that's exactly what they're going to do because there is a good chance the winner of this game, Donnie, is going to be represented in the college football playoff. So once again, new gigs for head coaches. Shocker, not a distraction for these two teams. They did not play during the regular season, by the way. So keep an eye. This is all new for both of these teams. I think it's going to be a great, great game. If Tulane can slow down North Texas, and not many teams have been able to do that, they got a good chance at winning. If not, I like North Texas to get it done.
It's kind of crazy when you look at those games, too. It's like, the coaches, yes, they're putting in their game plan, but also making so many phone calls, new staff, got to recruit players to your new university while you're trying to get the game plan together. That is a lot to handle. But at least it's not like, hey, one side has their coach staying. No, both of those coaches are leaving, so equal grounds here at this point. Another Friday night football game out west here, the UNLV, the Rebs, taking on Boise State here, an 8 o'clock start. It's a minus 3.5-point line and a total of 57.5. Dan Mullen playing the underdog here. UNLV Boise State. What's that spread line?
Well, it's funny. This is exactly the rematch of last year's Mountain West Conference Championship game. And Boise State won that one 21-7. But, of course, Ashton Jeanty was on that team. He is no longer on that team. The first game, I believe that they played 56-31 back home on October 18th. That's what Boise State ended up winning by there. But there's been a lot of transformation with this Rebels team, and especially this Rebels defense, too, as well. Yeah. I mean, listen, based on the first result, all we're seeing here, Donnie, is over money. And we did see a little bit of Boise State money early in this one. I wouldn't be shocked if it keeps going at Boise State, but the total will continue to rise as far as I can see.
Monday Night Football. Good game here tonight. And if you think, may have a little bit of fireworks, Joe. 46.5 total, a 7.5-point spread as the favorite towards New England because all they do is win, win, win. Good teams win, great teams cover. That hook is looming large at some outlets here. So, Joe, take a look at Monday Night Football, the Giants and the Patriots. What's your spread line?
Well, I mean, what else do the Patriots have to do, right? They're running a 9-game winning streak. They're 7-2 against the number during that streak. However, that offensive line, namely left tackle Will Campbell, out with an injury, which isn't a great matchup now against a very aggressive Giants defensive front that we have seen win in the trenches against two AFC North teams, Donnie, and gave them all they could handle here. Jackson Dart is the wild card. He is back in under center, it looks like, but what are we going to get from him? How many design runs are there going to be? It feels like this game is going to be a heck of a lot closer than the market thinks it is. I wouldn't be shocked, Donnie, if the hook is gone and maybe we are under a touchdown by the time he gets the kickoff.
I got to tell you, because this game could scramble some brains out there, because what we were seeing from the Giants offense there under Jameis Winston is not what you're going to see from Jackson Dart. Understand this. Jameis has been around the block. He knows his time is now, and he was slinging that thing all over the place. Jackson Dart, still a rookie quarterback coming back after an extended layoff. We'll see what he has for that game. NBA action tonight, the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Clippers. Joe, 234.5 is the total, and 6.5 as the favorite for the Heat off of an opening number of 5.5. What's your spread line down on South Beach tonight for Clippers and the Heat?
Well, I thought this was just going to rise. I mean, I saw 4 yesterday, Donnie, in the opening number. Both these teams had off. And then, of course, we wake up this morning and it's already 6s. But ironically enough, you know, for Miami being such a big over team this year, well, the Clippers aren't, because they got nothing but about oxygen tanks and, you know, 40-year-olds running around there. They are not running up and down the court at all. It doesn't shock me that the total is dropping in this either. And I think it continues to drop, because we saw it up as high, Donnie, as somewhere around that 236, 236.5. Now we're at 233. I think it continues to fall. But the Clippers are gross, Donnie. They can't get out of their own way. It'll be nothing but Miami money from here on out. So if you like them, grab it now. I mean, lay the 6, because it will likely rise before tip-off.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard there. Who knows if he ever plays with the knee? He's questionable for just about every game. But when I always look at the injury reports, I still get a kick out of this. Like Jaime Jaquez, groin, out. Tyler Hero, ankle, questionable. Terry Rozier, type of injury, gambling, listed as out. Always love to see that there. That's why you're not going to be available. But some big spread lines to watch out for. This show is just getting started, because we got some action coming up, which includes what happened in the NFL, but more importantly after that, what the heck is going on in college football? We'll be right back. Woo.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said
earlier.
earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Full recap mode in the NFL, and yes, we're going to go over exactly what happened yesterday on Sunday and also on Sunday night, but more importantly, we weren't here for Turkey Day, Joe, and there was a triple header on Turkey Day, which, by the way, if you were looking forward to those games, you had action on those games, you probably enjoyed those games for the most part, unless you were saying, hey, man, favorites should do pretty good, particularly the home teams. Well, that didn't really work out in your favor altogether. Let's start with that Packers-Lions game because there was a lot on the line. Who was going to have supremacy here and try to fight down and catch the Bears, who actually played on Friday? But this was a very important game. The Packers handled their business already against the Lions opening up in the season. Now you take a look at the Packers trying to return the favor and come back and say, we're going to beat you again, this time in your own building. Jordan Love, 4 touchdown passes in this game. The defense came up with the stops they needed, which included Micah Parsons. And we find ourselves, Joe, with the Lions at 7-5 after a 31-24 game on Thanksgiving to get the show kicked off. The Packers making their way back.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, the Packers did this in week 1. I was a little shocked with how ridiculous the defenses were on both teams here. They were supposed to be the strong suits of them, and neither of them could get a stop in any way, shape, or form when it mattered. I mean, how many more fourth down we're going to go for at fourth down? Oh, look at that, touchdowns. Are you going to allow to happen there, Detroit, in your own building? So, you know, if the defense actually stands up on those fourth downs and you know, can make a play, which they didn't, that may be a different game. But ultimately, I don't think it was Jared Goff and the offense that let them down. It was the defense that couldn't get a stop when it mattered the most there, Donnie, which is why Green Bay executed and Detroit didn't. So Green Bay certainly rolling into this next game and this next week with a lot of momentum and a big edge over Detroit moving forward.
Yep, Dan Campbell going for a fourth down in some spots. He may should have taken the points. They end up with a loss there. Maybe it is Ben Johnson. Maybe it's not. But the one key component, your defense has to make stops. If you don't make stops, you don't win football games. That's game number 2 on Thursday's Thanksgiving feast day. 31-28 final. The Dallas Cowboys won over the Kansas City Chiefs. Why? The Chiefs defense, who's usually very good, was not good on Thanksgiving Day. 320 yards they gave up to Dak Prescott, and then they gave up another 137 yards on the ground, 5.3 yards per carry. CeeDee Lamb, 7 for 112. George Pickens, 6 for 88. This offense and team is coming to life at the right time, and then you flip it over to the other side. Patrick Mahomes threw 4 touchdowns on Thanksgiving Day. They lost the football game. They now sit at 6-6, 1-5, Joe, away from Arrowhead.
You know, it was funny last week, Donnie. We had competing trends for this game because Kansas City was the only road favorite on Thanksgiving. And we had told you 26-1 is what road favorites have been on Thanksgiving. But yet we also know that teams meeting on a short week coming out of overtime, not necessarily great in that next game, Donnie. And that is exactly what you had with Kansas City, where Dallas at home, and that offense humming, that defense gaining more and more confidence, getting healthier and healthier. Yeah, that was a very tough spot for Kansas City. But you know what? Dallas has lost that game in years past. Not this year.
Yeah, look at Dallas, man. Make a little comeback. They got Detroit, by the way, coming up next Thursday night. And also understand this. We might not know the status there of Amon-Ra St. Brown. He doesn't play. Could the Dallas Cowboys roll through the Eagles, Chiefs, and Detroit Lions in 3 straight games? Who says the Cowboys aren't back at this point right now? But how about the Thursday night football game? Baltimore was favored by about a touchdown. We knew Joe Burrow was coming back. We also knew the Cincinnati defense always stinks. 32-14 final. Oh, easy win for the Ravens. No! 32-14 winner for the Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow comes back. They let him throw 46 times in this game. Good for 2 touchdowns. Only a pass rating of 83.7, but turnovers and more turnovers by the Ravens. A blowout victory for the 4-8 Cincinnati Bengals, and that sends the Baltimore Ravens into a tizzy at 6-6, man. Whew.
Donnie, I mean, how many more times have we been saying it? Like, you know, believe what you see. And what you're seeing is that is not the Lamar Jackson you think it is. That is not the offense you think it is. There are some serious issues with that Ravens team. And now, all of a sudden, Donnie, we're having a conversation, and we looked at the odds. I think 9-1 is what Cincinnati is to win the AFC North. 9-1. Are you kidding me here? And 1-8 without Burrow. We win 1 game, and they're not even a double-digit dog to win the conference division. It's amazing to me.
It is, too. And also Lamar Jackson, 27 yards rushing, which actually I think he went over his total. I want to say it was like 25.5, something like that. So you got that. But understand this. That team needs wide receivers to step up. Zay Flowers, 6 yards. Bateman, 0 yards. Hopkins, 25. Madness here. You know what else is madness? College football. Wait to hear what's going on. We'll be right back.
The play is Our Fam. You don't know about Our Fam? Go look her up on social media. Go look at YouTube. 19-year-old from Spain, 6'6", block shots, runs the floor, rebounds, post up, inside, outside, pop the corn, serve the beer, and it can clean up the mess when you're done eating your meal. This lady is absolutely fantastic.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
A huge number out there on Cason Wallace to win Defensive Player of the Year at 500-1. That is worth your attention. And a number that I talked about before the season that I still think should be lower is Mark Daigneault to win Coach of the Year at 11-1 in the NBA. If they win 70, he's a lock for top 3. If they win 73, it's his.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
What are those things called?
A shooting star.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that one. Like, it just burns up quick. And you love it while you can see it, and bing, it's gone in the blink of an eye.
Right.
That's my fear for Cam Scatterby.
Yeah, and that's not a big deal, but I will say it's weird, and it seems like he really enjoys that attention, which is all fine because he's a young guy,
Yeah.
but possibly dangerous in a city like New York.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Close to $1 million in volume being traded right now in the Offensive Player of the Year. If you did put $100 down on Jonathan Taylor, that would pay back $143, so a 43% increase on your money that you had. There are a lot of long shots in here, but it doesn't feel like those would be good bets. Like, hey, I'm going to put it on Justin Herbert. Well, yeah, if Justin Herbert wins it, Joe, a $100 wager would pay back $10,000. They even have a market for if you want to bet Malik Neighbors.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
What a week in college football here. And the only shame of it for me is, watching it, we didn't get all the chaos that we needed, but we still did get some great football games. The AP Top 25 poll is out for this week. And you have Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Oregon, and Texas Tech in the 5th spot here. So no real surprises. Again, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, who did lose, but they weren't going to drop all that far after that loss to Texas. OU, Notre Dame, Alabama, BYU, and Miami in that 12 spot here, Joe. But we don't get the TV show until what? Tomorrow night, I believe?
Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting. That the rankings are going to be very important for Miami. We know that. But BYU, of course, has that rematch against Texas Tech, which I think is interesting. I think there is ultimately enough controversy, even though those top, 14, 12 teams, not anybody lose outside of A&M in that in that AP poll. So there's not a lot of maneuvering, I think, that can go on. But is there enough to say, hey, Miami, regardless of whether it's Virginia or Duke winning the ACC championship, Miami is going to be the highest rated ACC team. Even though they won't be a champion of the ACC, they're going to be the highest ranked one. Is it enough for them to be able to get in? I think that's the real only question. And then the group of 5, Donnie, right? Who's the group of 5 team that's going to separate themselves with a chance to play in the playoff?
Yeah, some things will still be determined there, but it looks like we know really who's probably getting in at this point, but also understand the question at hand. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a season for the Miami Hurricanes for the greater good. Because if Miami doesn't make it in, what they're going to do is expand the college football playoff. And they should. We shouldn't be having these conversations because it's an invitational. If you told me, Joe, that we're just going to run things right through a computer and we're going to give you the top 12 teams, we wouldn't really have any issues. You might have a slight argument over one team over another, and so be it. But the fact that there's a chance now, Joe, that we might have 2 group of 5s in and then Miami stays home, but you're not putting the best teams in it here, No other sport really should do this, and neither should college football. Is it better than 2 teams getting in at 4? Yes, it is. But if we're still having these arguments, we're not putting the best teams in, and that's where those arguments will continue. Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl, Joe, they won 38-19. But that's not what anybody was caring about, Ole Miss punching their ticket into the college football playoff. It's how much longer Lane Kiffin would be their head coach. We knew the minute that Florida goes, we're pivoting off of Lane Kiffin, and LSU did not pivot off of Lane Kiffin, you knew he was going to LSU, and it was finally made official yesterday. He's on his way to LSU, taking his coaches with him. Good luck, Ole Miss, in your run to a national championship without me.
Well, the dominoes started to fall during that Egg Bowl. It was so funny because all of a sudden the reports came out. Florida leaked that, they've moved on from Lane Kiffin because they feel he had other options. So we started to hear on Friday that, all right, well, if it ain't Florida, although it is Lane Kiffin, anything is possible. He could go to Penn State for all we know. But ultimately, as the weekend, kept kicking the can down the road, it became more and more obvious that, it wasn't going to be anything but LSU. And then, of course, we actually learned who all the other coaches would be for the big job openings, Donnie, before we knew that Lane Kiffin was actually going to LSU.
Yeah, pretty madness there. And also putting his clothes out there, a little rack sale. Come on, buy Lane Kiffin's clothes because he's out the door. Already, I assume, never going back to Ole Miss, boxing up some things. And away he goes with LSU as they try to pay him a lot of money. And he gets a lot of money in NIL for his team to put that together. But Ole Miss, they're going to be in the college football playoff. We'll see how they fare without their head coach. If we go down the list, some other big games here that played up this weekend. Oklahoma 17, LSU 13. Oklahoma punches their ticket. They were on the ropes against LSU until LSU decided, well, wait, we're LSU, and we're not going to cover anybody in the secondary. A late, deep touchdown pass dooms LSU as Oklahoma and Brent Venables head to the college football playoff for that 17-13 victory.
Yeah, I didn't. That was an ugly game on so many levels. As much as I love that defense of OU, how was Mateer ever considered to be a Heisman candidate? Like, the guy is absolutely atrocious. I mean, and that's not the first game. I mean, there's only so many 17, 12 games you can win before you just can't come from behind. And, that's the problem with OU right now. Kudos on the win, but my goodness, that was not impressive to say the least.
I'll tell you what was impressive, and I thought this game would play out this way. Texas 27-17 over Texas A&M. A&M heads to the college football playoff. Texas was trying to make it back in case other teams slipped up. 9-3 Texas, 6-2 in the SEC. They had a really, really tough schedule, but that's a marquee win for Arch Manning and Sark there. Had to feel good for them, even though probably not going to make the playoff now, out the window.
Well, we had said, Donnie, right? The one thing that we had always said is that if there was one team that with 3 losses that could make it very interesting, it would be Texas. And that's exactly what happened at home. And Arch Manning, you know what he did? He made a lot of the naysayers forget a lot of things and the struggles early on in the season with that win in that game.
Let's get to some things that really matter here. We're going to get to that OSU-Michigan game, but Miami beat Pittsburgh, Joe, on Saturday, 38-7. A ranked opponent on the road coming down to it. You knew Miami had to win this game, and if they did win by 7, they would have just covered. They won by 31 points. Then later on that night here, you saw Notre Dame take it to Stanford, which Stanford's a bad football team, and credit them for running it up, fake punts. That's what you had to do. But if we do look at where this college football playoff is heading, it seems simple to me because we have a lot of discourse online. Now, credit, like I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. I know Joe also has an affinity for them as well. If you remove yourself from the situation, sometimes things do get a little bit unfair. But here's the thing I don't understand. Like when you're comparing, resumes up and down, Notre Dame does deserve probably to be in the college football playoff, but then so does Miami. Here's the reasoning behind that. If we're going to look at games that are equal on level and strength of schedule, none of that matters to me, Joe, if you play a head-to-head game. And sometimes I'd be a little bit facetious by saying, Joe, if Miami lost 2 games to high school JV teams, but still played Notre Dame and beat Notre Dame, they still should be ahead of Notre Dame in the standings. That's the one thing that we always are taught. You settle things on the football field. And now the hilariousness is like, well, we're not the same team as we were week number 1. So what does that mean, Joe? Throughout the month of September, lose all 4 games, but then win your remaining 7 and then tell the committee, well, wait, what does September matter when we're here in December and we think we're the best football team in the country? Sometimes sanity has to go into it. If 2 teams are side by side and they played each other and one team beat the other, Why, Joe, is there even a discussion at this point?
Listen, I agree. I mean, there should be, obviously, there's a lot of factors when looking at it, Donnie, but shouldn't head-to-head, no matter what time of year it is,
correct,
shouldn't that really be shouldn't that weigh more than anything else at that point? And that's why you play that game, Donnie, right? Isn't that why you open the season, to test your team? I mean, the winner of that game, it's got to count for something. And, for Miami, it's kind of hard that, we have the same record, but you're telling me they beat better cupcakes than we did? Like, ultimately, we beat them. Should all things being equal, Donnie, shouldn't we get the nod over them?
And also, sometimes, Joe, we always have this, like, in the courtrooms, you don't want to set precedent going the wrong way because, hey, this guy committed this crime. We gave him 3 years. Well, everybody else is going to have to get at least 3 years. Nobody's going to have any leeway here. If you go into this college football playoff and say Notre Dame is going to go in over Miami, you just have to blow up the structure because head-to-head should never matter anymore at all. Like, hey, these two teams are tied, but Oklahoma beat Alabama. And Alabama goes, so what? That was in September. And they would have a point to stand on at that and say, you know what? Head-to-head doesn't matter. We beat Auburn more than you beat Auburn. That matters more than when we played head-to-head. You see where we're going here?
Yeah. Makes it. It's kind of convoluted. And, quite honestly, when you look at who's actually in this committee, which, like, this is going to be very interesting, Donnie. What is the conversation? And I can't wait until they send the guy out to explain to everyone what the final decisions were. And nobody agrees with it once again. It's this time of year is just hilarious. The more teams we add, the more ridiculousness we get. And I'm all for it, Donnie. I love it.
Here's what we have to contemplate as well. Do away with the TV show. Don't paint yourself into a corner that you can't get out of here when you thought that, Miami's probably going to slip up anyway because that's what they do. Miami put full throttle on bums and ranked teams to end the season, but you painted yourself into a corner because of a show you did a month ago. Ridiculous at this point right now. Yep. That's where we sit. Tom Vecchio is coming up next. Let's see the goods he has. We'll be right back after this short break.
The play is Our Fam. You don't know about Our Fam? Go look her up on social media. Go look at YouTube. 19-year-old from Spain, 6'6", block shots, runs the floor, rebounds, post up, inside, outside, pop the corn, serve the beer, and it can clean up the mess when you're done eating your meal. This lady is absolutely fantastic.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
A huge number out there on Cason Wallace to win Defensive Player of the Year at 500-1. That is worth your attention. And a number that I talked about before the season that I still think should be lower is Mark Daigneault to win Coach of the Year at 11-1 in the NBA. If they win 70, he's a lock for top 3. If they win 73, it's his.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
What are those things called?
A shooting star.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that one. Like it just burns up quick, and you love it while you can see it, and bing, it's gone in the blink of an eye.
Right.
That's my fear for Cam Scatterby.
Yeah, and that's not a big deal, but I will say it's weird, and it seems like he really enjoys that attention, which is all fine because he's a young guy, but possibly dangerous in a city like New York.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Close to $1 million in volume being traded right now in the Offensive Player of the Year. If you did put $100 down on Jonathan Taylor, that would pay back $143, so a 43% increase on your money that you had. There are a lot of long shots in here, but it doesn't feel like those would be good bets. Like, hey, I'm going to put it on Justin Herbert. Well, yeah, if Justin Herbert wins it, Joe, a $100 wager would pay back $10,000. They even have a market for if you want to bet Malik Neighbors.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Sunday NFL action bleeds into Monday Night Football action. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Raniere. We welcome in Tom Vecchio, our friend here on the SportsGrid Network, to talk about some of those action that happened yesterday and into today, Tom. And just when we think we've seen it all, man, oh man, the Rams are the best team in the NFL. Oh, are they really? The Panthers said, you know what? We'll take this game and show you what's up. 31-28, Tom. Entertaining game, goes way over the total. A lot of yardage on each side. But how about Carolina and that bounce-back effort in the rain down in Charlotte yesterday?
Great win for the Panthers. Like you said, they're coming off a terrible game. I do feel at a certain point it's just not going to be enough for the Panthers. I don't think they're in a spot to win the division. They're not good enough to win a wild card. They still have to play the Bucs twice to close out the season. At best, they split one of those, and the Bucs still have the division lead as of now. I think they take the division, the Bucs, that is. The Rams, I still think they're the best team in the NFL. It's not by miles ahead, though. They certainly have their faults, as every team does.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, we were just laughing, though, Ty. The AFC North is so bad that even Cincinnati now is 9-1 to win it. Pittsburgh loses to Buffalo yesterday. Is it a coin flip division?
I think it has to be, considering that the Ravens and the Bengals still have to play one more time. So it's not like the Ravens can weather the storm and say we can sustain this loss. We can sustain another loss. It's like they have to win all their games. They also have to win against the Bengals at Bengals. Now, I know, as we always say, competitive teams in the division, they'll probably end up splitting when it's all said and done. But we can't trust the Ravens to do anything on offense. Everyone's saying that Lamar just doesn't look fully hit. Something's wrong with the Ravens offense this year. So nothing's set in stone, which is good because it's entertaining. But man, we want to see some team grab the reins and take charge.
I'll tell you who was grabbing the reins, Tom, and taking charge yesterday. It was the Buffalo Bills. They ran 51 times for 249 yards on that Steelers team, which also had the Buffalo Bills down both of their tackles. I watched that game extensively, and we talked yesterday. I didn't know how Pittsburgh really was going to score. That game should stay under, and it did. But I look at that Pittsburgh offense. It's the same thing I see. You have an aging quarterback with a broken wrist, no wide receivers to speak of out of DK Metcalf. So you just blanket cover him, and nobody can get open. The Pittsburgh Steelers are broken at 6-6 here. Where do they go from here?
Frankly, I think they need a reset. They need an injection of just raw talent onto the offensive side of the ball. DK is great. That's awesome. I think the dynamic of Warren and Gainwell in the backfield is actually really solid, but you need some explosiveness. You need strong receivers that can get separation and get open on their own, and a quarterback can get them the ball. To your point, just DK and then Calvin Austin and Darnell Washington and Jonnu Smith, those guys don't move the needle, and they're not an issue for defenses when it's all said and done. They just need strong receivers that are extremely fast and a quarterback that can get them the ball.
Yeah, easier said than done there. What are we thinking here tonight, Tom, as the Patriots at home? Some issues on that offensive line. 9-game winning streak. I mean, there's nothing not to like, but are things going to come to a head here tonight, or are they going to run away with this game?
I like the Pats to win. I think that's the easiest way to put it. I think everyone's going to be on that same board. It's do you like them to cover? And that's the big point. 7.5 is a tough number, just knowing, especially for the Giants at this point, their propensity to go for 2, I think, will be increased as the season goes on, just because they have nothing to lose. Why not try and go out there and just cause an upside, make a little noise, whatever you want to call it, whatever cliche we're in. So I don't like the Pats to cover at 7.5. I think that's a bit much. The 46.5, I'm a little bit leaning towards the over, which is not something I always say for primetime games. It's going to be super cold there. There's going to be no weather, but it's going to be very, very cold. So I'm looking at some props if we want to get into that now. Specifically, let's start off with Theo Johnson for the Giants. I like him over 32.5 receiving yards. We look at the game specifically since Jackson Dart has taken over at quarterback, and he has at least 4 targets in every single game. Now, he hasn't gotten to the yardage in every single game. He has been there in the recent games when Jameis Winston was starting, which is good to see that they're utilizing him in the offense. But the Pats, they actually allowed the seventh most receiving yards to opposing tight ends. They're actually deficient in that area. And I think the Giants want to go out there and make a little noise and put up some yards and put up some points, especially with Jackson Dart being back. I think they need to keep him safe tonight, right? Don't drop back 50 times and have him throw the ball deep and expose to these hits. So Theo Johnson, get the ball out quickly to him.
if we look at this game too, Tom, because the one thing that is going to change is Jameis Winston was out there, and he's Mr. YOLO. You only live once. Just get this ball out here. I'm going to throw it. I'm going to let you guys make some plays, and they were doing that. I don't know if we're necessarily going to see that tonight with Jackson Dart at quarterback. He's right around that 200 yards marker here for his passing prop. But Wan'Dale Robinson really saw an increase in yards under Jameis Winston. He's listed high for the game at 59.5. Sometimes it's hard to extrapolate. Say, yeah, he should dominate. He's having some really good, games. But Jameis isn't there. How do we play Wan'Dale tonight?
I think it's easy to trust him if you are looking for, I don't want to say the public play, but I think that's what it is ultimately. Like, if you just want to go there because you don't have a lean on the game overall, you don't want to play a side, you're not sold on the props, you're worried about the, Pat's offensive line, to Joe's comment, it's going to be an issue. Then it's like Steph Diggs, do we trust him? No, Hunter Henry. If you just want, I would say, an easy thing that you're trying to get to the window, I think Wan'Dale's the answer. There's not a whole lot of talent on the Giants outside of Wan'Dale and Theo Johnson. They have some Tyron Tracy. They have some good players, but if the Giants are going to be playing in a passing game script, Wan'Dale Robinson should be seeing a lion's share of the targets, just because there's not a whole lot of players to take away targets from him. There's no target competition outside of Theo Johnson, at least in my estimation. Slayton's not a big issue for me.
Tough time. I'm looking at this total too at 46 and a half. It hasn't moved a whole lot here the whole week. And I'm trying to figure out, does that mean that, are we expecting fewer points here? Are we expecting more points? I mean, it's not like the Giants weren't averaging 24, 25 points a game with Jackson Dart under center. So are we getting points in this one, you think?
Yeah, I would lean over in this one. I don't think it flies over. I don't think we're getting a game in the 60s, but an upper 80s, ending around 28 to 10 or somewhere around that 28 to 20, not 28 to 10, 28 to 20, 48 is what I'm trying to say, that kind of key number. I think that is more realistic, not in the upper 60s or upper 50s. That's where we're going. I also want to mention Travion Henderson, over 82.5 rushing and receiving combined. Despite the offensive line issues, I think it's easier to run block than it is to pass block when you're dealing with backup linemen. And even though Ramondre Stevenson is back, we should be seeing him take the lead tonight.
Should be fun to watch it play it up there in Foxborough, one of the hottest teams in the NFL, the New England Patriots. Can they continue their streak? Tommy, thanks for rising and grinding with us. We'll talk to you soon. We'll be right back.
When LeBron James decides he's retiring, it is coming with trumpets blaring, Adam Silver by his side, and he is going on a state-by-state, coast-to-coast tour so that everyone can acknowledge how great he was and give him a parting gift and thank him for his amazing contributions to the NBA.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The future of the prediction markets, I think, at least for now, may be in the hands of the federal courts. But the good news for those who support prediction markets is that these court battles may last for another 2 to 3 years before we get clarity around the law. And nominee Seelig was handpicked by Donald Trump, not because he was neutral on prediction markets, but because he would do nothing to slow it down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Oh, it's a Monday and it's December right here on the early line. SportsGrid Network. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri. New York Giants, New England Patriots tonight. 7.5 at most of the marketplaces you're going to be shopping around today as a favorite for New England in a total of 46.5. Dart's going to be quarterback tonight. Not Jameis Winston. If we take a look at Drake May, it's been nothing short of spectacular this year. And the run that New England is on, looking to close the door and possibly the number one overall seed in the AFC. Cold conditions tonight, Joe, in Foxborough. 29 degrees as we start. No precipitation and light winds. Perfect for the month of December. So let's start here. The Giants, the one thing we know about them, they love to have the lead in the fourth quarter. They just can't stand actually winning football games here. It's incredible to watch it play out. Do they stay within the 7.5 tonight with Dart coming back?
I believe they can, and I believe they have shown you the last couple of weeks how competitive they can actually be here. I mean, ask Detroit, ask Green Bay, who got dominated in the trenches. I mean, those are two very good defensive teams, certainly up front, and the Giants' offensive line. I mean, they manhandle them. I mean, Giants are running well. Their pass blocking. I mean, Jameis Winston wasn't sacked until the final play in overtime of that game against Detroit, Donnie. And that offensive line is very underrated with how good they have been. And I think they'll continue to do that with Jackson Dart under center. And yeah, I mean, listen, there is question marks. I think New England is overrated. I think they're overvalued. I think missing two of your starting offensive linemen could be a problem with that defense. And don't forget, Giants fired their defensive coordinator after that Detroit game. And as crazy as that may sound, guys like Brian Burns, right? We've seen them not be happy with what's going on defensively with the play calling and everything else throughout the season. So that might re-energize this defense here a little bit, who just unfortunately hasn't made enough plays down the stretch to win these last couple of games. But are they going to get blown out by more than a touchdown? I don't see that happening here.
It's an interesting one because, again, if it was Jameis Winston, I think everybody just would be piling on right to the Giants. Going like, he's going to throw it around. And even if they're down, he has a chance to bring them back. Even if they have limited weapons, he was sensational at quarterback. But now it's Jackson Dart. What's the narrative coming in on this game as well? Because he's going to start tonight. No longer Jameis Winston. The thing that we think got Brian Daboll fired was, okay, you're a good offensive coordinator, but you're going to kill our franchise quarterback. That can't happen. So they're talking about Jackson Dart. Hey, you know what? Maybe not as many called runs for you. Don't try to run players over as you're going out of bounds. But here's my question to you, Joe, which I might struggle with a little bit. You can't take that player out of the game. If that's the type of quarterback he is and the pocket breaks down, he's not going to throw it away. He's going to try to make a play. 29.5 is the rushing prop for Jackson Dart tonight versus the New England Patriots. I know we're probably not getting 3 designed runs, which could pick up an extra 12 or 13 yards, but he is going to scramble, Joe. If I gave you a free wager tonight on Jackson Dart's rushing prop, does he get 30 yards or stay under 30 yards tonight?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't sweat out an under with him because, listen, you don't need to design runs for him. Like his mobility alone will give him an opportunity to pick up free yardage there, an opportunity to get some yards there. He is who he is, right? So you're not going to be able to contain him. But I do think even you're not bubble wrapping him, Donnie, right? Otherwise, why are you playing him? Should he have 25 design runs in a game? No, he should not. But at the same time, his ability and his elusiveness and athleticism, and he's got some legs, so he will take advantage of it. I would much rather be on the over than the under in that spot because I don't think you're starting him if you're just planning on making him a pocket passer. That's not who he is.
Hunter Henry, 38.5 receiving yards. If we're looking at the receiving market, Stephon Diggs, 47.5. Then the guy up top there is Wan'Dale Robinson, 59.5. We saw a lot of success under Jameis Winston. Matt Collins, Theo Johnson, we talked about there with Tom, who was on previously with us here. Darius Slayton. It's hard for me to get a grasp on this game to which way we're going to go because it's throwing me a little bit off from a Giants perspective. The one thing I have liked all season long, though, has been that New England offense and the use of the tight ends. They have a running game now, a really good quarterback who's mobile enough in the pocket with a strong arm and a plethora of fast wide receivers. So for me, if I say, Hunter Henry, 38.5. That makes a lot of sense for me. Kayshon Boutte, one of those guys that can get deep, 34.5. You're getting a lot of discounts on some of these price points here for the wide receivers and pass catchers for New England.
Well, I don't think Hunter Henry is going to have a good game. The New York Giants defense, although some issues, what they have not had an issue, they're fourth best at defending tight ends this year. That's a tough matchup for Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry, plus 200 for a touchdown. Maybe. We'll be right back.